as well as our mayor. So I really commend you all for coming out today. So give yourselves a round of applause. And thank you so much. So as you know, I'm Cook County Commissioner Donna Miller, and for those of you who may not have been here before, this is where our district office is for the 6th District for Cook County. We share our office here in Oak Forest. Many of you, we've met before on different occasions for different things, but as you know, I also represent 36 municipalities in South and Southwest suburban Cook County. And it's really been my pleasure to be your commissioner over these last 3.5, almost 4 years. So I want to take the time to thank the chiefs, the mayors, and all the guests who might be here today. Thank you so much for coming out on this really important occasion. As we've seen over the last several months and really over the last couple of years, just the amount of focus and intentionality on diversity. And our diversity and our community and our unity is really something that we see throughout the Southland, as represented as exactly what's in our room today. And having the 10 shared principles and this signing ceremony right here in the 6th District really speaks to the amount of diversity that is in Cook County. Cook County is very diverse. I'm proud to say that I really think I have the most diverse district in all of Cook County, and whoever wants to dispute me on that, please let me know. But I think that it's a very diverse community, but it really exemplifies what our county is all about. So thank you for showing how we live how we live with diverse communities in the Southland, and also how we work together in adopting the 10 shared principles of the Illinois Association Chiefs of Police and the Illinois NAACP. I also want to thank my colleague who couldn't be here today, but his staff is here. Commissioner Scott Britton introduced a resolution focused on the 10 shared principles almost a year and a half ago at the Cook County Board of Commissioners. And he sponsored this legislation that led to the Cook County Forest Preserve Police and the Cook County Sheriff adopting these principles. I also want to give a special thank you to someone you all know and love like I do, who is Chief Mitchell Davis, who is the current president of the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police. I'm so glad he's here today, and thank you, Chief, for your leadership on this issue. As I mentioned, it was almost a year ago that we had a signing ceremony at the Cook County Board of Commissioners in recognition for the Forest Preserve Police on adopting the 10 shared principles. I was proud to support that and co-sponsor that resolution at that time and supported the 10 shared principles along with the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police and the Illinois NAACP, who are also here with us today. And Scott at Britton was focused on that from the very beginning. Unfortunately, he couldn't be with us, as I mentioned, but his staff is here and we'll hear from them in just a minute. So as you all are very well aware of, the 10 shared principles, it really asserts the importance of treating all persons with dignity and respect, rejects discrimination towards any person on the basis of race, ethnicity, religion, color, nationality, immigrant status, sexual orientation, gender disability, or familiar status, and emphasizes building strong relationships between law enforcement and communities of color through transparency. Also, the enforcement and accountability and honest recognition of the past and present obstacles. So these principles also endorse the 6 pillars outlined in the May 2015 report by President Obama's task force on the 21st century policing. And nearly 230 entities throughout Illinois have adopted the 10 shared principles since its inception in 2018, and more than 60 co-signing police departments in Cook County. I'm happy to see many of you who are here today who represent, and they have also adopted these 10 shared principles. And I would encourage all law enforcement officers to sign on to this important document and to adopt these principles and the ones that are outlined in it. In June of 2020, I organized a press conference to bring together some of our Southland leaders to talk about what was going on in our communities in the South suburbs. And it related to incidents surrounding the tragic and unjust deaths of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd, and the resulting protests that swept the nation. We had a really vibrant protest right here in Oak Forest, and as the chief knows, it was peaceful. There were a lot of young people involved, and it also showed the diversity of the Oak Forest community and people from outside as well. But what was unique about all the events is that there were African American legislators from all levels of government, all women and all mothers, including Congresswoman Kelly when we did this in 2020, State Rep Debbie Myers-Martin, and President Sheila Chalmers Curran. We all unified to support a peaceful protest of injustice. And the other unique thing about all of us is that we are all mothers, and being a mother is another special job that we all have in common. But it showed how far we have come, and as a nation, that there's still work to do, and we still strive for a more perfect union. Despite these tragic events and the others since, I'm hopeful and proud of the Southland when I see such a group of diverse leaders gathered here today to affirm their belief in basic human principles. We all need to work together to solve crime and violence, and by adopting and abiding by these 10 shared principles, we can do just that for the betterment of our communities here in the Southland, in Cook County, and in our state and nation. So with that, I would love to introduce Julie from Commissioner Scott Britton's office to just share a little bit about the inception of this on the county level and speak on behalf of Commissioner Scott Britton. Julie?
Good morning. My name is Julie Caviar. I'm Chief of Staff to the 14th District Cook County Commissioner Scott Britton, and I'm grateful to be here this morning to speak on his behalf. Thank you to Commissioner Donna Miller for your determination to implement these principles. Thank you to Teresa Haley, President of the NAACP State Conference, Austin Randall, its VP, and of course Bob Moore, the head of Criminal Justice Committee at NAACP. And thank you Mitchell Davis, President of the IACP and Hazel Crest Police Chief, all for your leadership on this essential initiative. And thank you, of course, to the many municipal and police leaders here today for being in attendance in support of this important cause. When Commissioner Britton first brought this 10 shared principles to the Cook County Board of Commissioners in 2020, his goal was to support every police department in Cook County to endorse them. At the time, the resolution adopted the principles for the Cook County Sheriff's Office and the Cook County Forest Reserves Police, and 64 municipalities out of the total 130 in Cook County had already embraced the principles. While many police departments already root their work in fairness, transparency, community partnerships, the 10 shared principles allow departments to publicly declare their belief that all human life deserves equal dignity and respect, and creates an opportunity for departments to continue to listen to residents and activate collaborative solutions throughout their operations. Today's event formally endorsing the 10 shared principles for 36 police departments is a marked step forward in building lasting, trusting, and cooperative relationships between law enforcement and the residents they are sworn to protect and serve. Thank you for the opportunity to support this work.
Thank you so much, Julie. Next, I would like to introduce Teresa Healy, who is the president of the NAACP Illinois State Conference, to come up and say a few words, who's been traveling all over the entire state of Illinois and beyond, working on this initiative. Teresa.
Thank you. It is truly an honor and a blessing to be here today. Commissioner Miller, you're doing the thing, and I really appreciate you. Let's give her a hand. This room is full of diversity, and I know people out who are watching live can't see the diversity that I see in this room today. But I always tell people on my job in my community, whenever we're going out, at the end of the day, we want to be able to come home to our families. And today we're here to answer that call with you. I want to thank the police departments for what you do. My uncles were state troopers, they were local police officers, they were veterans, Marines, and so on and so forth. But nevertheless, there are good officers out there. But what I try to do as the state conference president for the NAACP is to remind our community that although there are a few bad officers out there, we have a few bad family members. And when you see something, say something, and I'm asking all of us to continue to come together, and when we see something, say something. After the tragedy of Michael Brown down in Ferguson, Missouri, I said enough is enough. Ferguson is just an hour and a half away from Springfield, Illinois. And if you don't know the history, Springfield, Illinois is the home of the 1908 race riots that led to the start of the NAACP as we know it today. And we said, no, not in our town. So we're going around the state and around the country building relationships between the Black community and the police department. And I say the Black community as opposed to saying the African American community. Because if you are police officers and you approach an all Haitian community, or people from the Dominican Republic, or people from Africa, they don't call themselves African Americans. But if you're saying that you're approaching the Black community, they are a Black community. So I often say, like James Brown says, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. And we take pride in our community. And again, we want to continue to build those relationships and not destroy those relationships. So as you're taking these oaths, don't feel like it's just another thing to do. We just finished celebrating Black History Month, which is the shortest, coldest month of the year. But every day is Black History Month. Every day is Police Officers Month, and we want to make sure that we're working together to save lives and to protect each other. Again, thank you for what you do. At this time, I'd like to bring up my first Vice President for the Illinois State Conference, Mr. Theodis Pace, who's the President of Kankakee Branch. Theodis?
Thank you, President Haley. My name is Theodis Pace, and I'm the president of the Kankakee County branch of the NAACP, and also vice president of the Illinois State Conference of branches. What I just did with the individuals behind me is pass out the 10 shared principles here in Kankakee, Illinois, where all of the municipalities in Kankakee sign off on what we're doing today. The 10 shared principles. Again, it's all about relationships, our respective communities, respective relationships between law enforcement, the NAACP, relationships between our communities of color and law enforcement. In Kankakee, we have a very good relationship with law enforcement, with our sheriff department, Sheriff Mike Downing, all of our police chiefs. And we've gone into some other initiatives where we've reformed initiatives such as the Kankakee County Crisis Response Team, where we have a diverse category of individuals that come together to ensure a Ferguson, a New York, a Cleveland does not happen any municipalities in Kankakee County. Again, I am honored and humbled to be here today to see the signing of the 10 shared principles in this district. Thank you.
Next, we'd like to have the Criminal Justice Chair, Bob Moore, please come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone?
Great.
You can tell I'm a motivational speaker, right? I brought my notes up so I could make sure I got all my points in. And first note I want to take about thanking all the commissioners, and we've had opportunity to work with the commissioners for ever since last year. And Julie is just a wonderful person to work with. So we're getting to know this other staff. I'm sure they're just as expedient at doing work as she is. But I want to start off by talking about a partnership. A partnership that was developed between the Illinois Chiefs of Police and the NAACP. That's what we're talking about, a partnership. And the first partnership that's ever been done between a premier law enforcement agency, organization, and a civil rights organization, first in the nation. And it has developed. And the first thing I want to do right now is have our president and the vice president from Springfield to stand up. Because this was the team. This was the team from the NAACP that sat on the side of the table with the Illinois chiefs to develop these 10 shared principles. I'm a history buff, as well as I have a passion for justice, and I like to talk about history. So those principles were developed in 2018, and we made a pact, I guess you'd say, to improve communications. Not only to improve communication, but to travel the state together, educating the public and the police together on the 10 shared principles. And I must say that every point of this process, I have been there. I have been at every meeting. And we have done, Ed Wazinski and I, he's not here today, but he and I have traveled the state together and presented over 30 presentations to communities throughout the state of Illinois on these 10 shared principles. We've had as high as 100 people in Rockford, community and police together. And we've had, Julie did a wonderful virtual presentation for us here in Cook County. Theodis mentioned that counties are adopting the principles. We've got 3 counties, Kankakee, Sangamon, and Donna. All agencies in those particular municipalities, those counties, have signed these principles. Some of the accomplishments. 230 agencies have signed on, including the Illinois State Police, including AT&T, including Cook County. And I want to, in closing, one of the things that the Illinois State Police did for us, they called and said, we want to get the 10 shared principles into our academy. We want the principles in our academy. We did that last month. I'm a graduate. I'm a graduate of the Illinois State Police Academy in 1972. Last month, I made a presentation to that academy class, the first academy class to receive the 10 shared principles, along with the NAACP and along with the Illinois Chiefs. That was a milestone for me, having graduated in 1972 and going back to have these principles adopted by the Illinois State Police Academy, the same academy I graduated from in 1972. Those are some of the accomplishments. We continue to look for more accomplishments. We've had commitments from several, I'm sure David's going to talk about those, the several commitments from other academies that they are adopting. So we're encouraging all of you, every academy, every county, to adopt these principles, because there are a certain set of reforms that's easily to adopt, and you'll have something to ask your community. When the community asks you, what are you doing? You have 10 shared principles to tell them about. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great. It's good to put it in that perspective. So last speaker, but not least, we're going to introduce Chief Mitchell Davis, who you all know, and I'm so proud to have known him for several years and proud of his new position that he has taken over for the Illinois State Chiefs of Police. And it's great to see representation on his level, not only being the first African American, but also representing the South Suburbs, which we all know sometimes we all get the short end of the stick. And they forget that crime happens everywhere, and that's one of the things that Chief always talks about. So crime happens everywhere. Police chiefs and our police departments are under-resourced and need more funding. And we also need to make sure that our police get the respect that they deserve. And I'm so glad that Chief Mitchell Davis has been at the forefront of this for so long, and as the new and outgoing, in a month or so, right? Outgoing for Illinois State Chiefs of Police. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. First, want to thank Commissioner Miller, first of all, for her foresight and initiative in bringing this to the South Suburban area. She's been a champion of the 10 shared principles for a long time, so this is not new to her. We've been working together on this for quite some time. We're doing it at another level. I want to thank all the commissioners that are helping to promote this. The NAACP, my friends there, and this personally and professionally, my friends. Just honored to be working with them on a regular basis as well, and also my colleagues from the South Suburbs. For me, this is just such a blessing for me to be representing you all on so many different levels. As the president of the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police, before my election to this level, I worked with them when we were going around the state doing the cafes and presenting the 10 shared principles and the concept before it actually came to fruition. So I've been involved with it for some time.